The paradox of the unexpected hanging, also called the surprise test paradox, plays out like a short story in which a powerful voice promises that an unavoidable event will happen during a set period of time, but adds that the event must catch its target completely by surprise. Imagine a judge telling a prisoner on Monday morning that the hanging will happen on one of the 5 days of the next week, but that when the chosen day comes, the prisoner will not have been able to know for sure, ahead of time, that it would be that day. Or, picture a teacher telling a class the same thing about one surprise quiz. From the moment the announcement is made, the scene pulls in philosophers, logic experts, mathematicians, and psychologists. It looks both like a playful magic trick and a deep question about how people think about what they know about the future. Hello, if you're our video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. It helps this channel grow so I can keep creating great content for you. Thanks so much for your support, and let's back to the video. Since R. Shaw's short 1958 note in Mind put the story into serious study, thinkers have wondered about the seemingly perfect line of thought the prisoner or the students can follow. One that leads to a result clearly denied by later events. The reasoning is trickily simple. Knowing that Friday is the last possible day, the prisoner thinks that if he is still alive on Thursday evening, he could figure out for sure that the hanging must happen the next day, which would break the judge's promise of surprise. So, says the prisoner, Friday is impossible. After ruling out Friday, he uses the same idea on Thursday. If he is alive on Wednesday night, he would surely guess that Thursday is the day, killing the surprise. Thursday must be impossible, too. Moving back like this, the prisoner crosses out Wednesday, Tuesday, and finally even Monday, deciding that the hanging cannot happen at all. Yet on Wednesday, or maybe on Tuesday, the guard comes in holding a rope. The teacher hands out the quiz papers, and the prisoner or students are truly amazed. The heart of the puzzle is exactly that shock-strict reasoning said the event was impossible, yet real life showed it was not. Explaining how such a solid-looking argument can fail has started a whole mix of studies across many fields. The first clear formal study came from F.B. Fitch, who in 1964 packed the puzzle into a short note in American Philosophical Quarterly. Fitch put the reasoning into a number-based language that could talk about its own sentences, and showed that the backward argument quietly shifts from a claim about what will be known to a claim about what is true. When the prisoner crosses out Friday, he quietly assumes that he could know Friday ahead of time, but that bit of knowledge is not really open to him until time has passed. By pointing out the gap between truth itself and an agent's knowledge of that truth, Fitch started an epistemic way of reading the puzzle that has led most of the debate ever since. In the same decade, B. Medlin wrote a more teaching-focused paper showing that the puzzle is related to the liar paradox. The statement, "You will be hanged on Friday and you cannot know that fact ahead of time," well, it actually talks about itself. Medlin's 1964 article, plus a now famous small fix, helped spread the classroom version with the surprise test, which keeps all the logic but, drops the gallows. In the 1970s, the debate got sharper. Crispin Wright and Alex Sudbury's 1977 paper in the Australasian Journal of Philosophy carefully argued that the backward cutting of days rests on the idea that the prisoner has perfect knowledge at each point in time. An idea not guaranteed just by the judge's words. Before Thursday night comes, the prisoner lacks the tools to rule out problems. Maybe the judge lied, or maybe something stops the hanging. So one of the starting points under the backward reasoning is, honestly, far from safe. Robert Sorensen's well-known 1984 paper brought in the idea of a conditional blind spot, a claim that, if true, the agent could never know. Sentences like, "You will be hanged on Friday," and "you will not know ahead of time that you will be hanged on Friday" make just such blind spots. The backward move that erases each day assumes the last step, knowing the blind spot, is possible. But the very meaning of a blind spot says that step is blocked, shaking the whole reasoning at its key point. So the 1980s also saw a move toward modeling the puzzle in advanced knowledge logics. Joseph Halpern and Yoram Moses put the issue in terms of common knowledge. To keep the promise, it's not enough that the prisoner doesn't know the day, it must also be common knowledge that he doesn't know and, known to the judge that he knows he doesn't know, and so on forever. The deeper one digs into that latter, the weaker the backward cutting of days seems. By the early 2000s, dynamic knowledge logic, or DAL, gave a new view. Jan Gerbrandy's 2007 Synthes paper treated the judge's words as a public statement that changes what each person knows. After each day goes by without a hanging, the prisoner's information changes. What was possible on Monday is no longer possible on Tuesday, because the backward proof quietly freezes knowledge in one picture that never moves. It breaks once knowledge is allowed to grow and shift. At the same time, teachers of math found that the puzzle also works as a clear lesson about induction. Timothy Chow's widely read 1998 article in the American Mathematical Monthly showed that the reverse induction, crossing out days from the end, looks strong only if one forgets that knowledge can go backward. Adding new facts can cancel earlier guesses, unlike in normal inductive proofs. That idea fits with Richmond Shapiro's step-by-step view, also from 1998, which stresses that what counts is not a fixed list of statements, but the method a person uses to update knowledge each day. If the method needs the person to jump to the end of the week to check his own ignorance, then the method is not one any real human or time-bound machine can run. Maybe the biggest turn came in 2010, when Shira Critchman and Ron Raz argued that the hanging story offers a surprisingly simple path to Gödel's second incompleteness rule. If a formal system strong enough to talk about arithmetic could also prove itself safe from error, it would, in effect, know which day the hanging must happen, killing the chance of surprise. The fact that surprise stays possible is then strong proof that such self-checking is impossible. Once we take away the fancy logic, the puzzle begs for real-world tests. Studies in classrooms show that few students on their own run through the whole backward elimination. Most stop after crossing out Friday and vaguely think the quiz will be earlier, so they study more evenly during the week. The teacher's promise, then, reaches a useful teaching goal. It fights putting off work not by force, but by uncertainty. The same line of thought guides real rules. Anti-doping groups set tests at random times so athletes cannot plan drug use. Customs officers do surprise checks. Computer security teams send out fixes without warning to stop hackers from getting ready. In all these cases, practical unpredictability gets its mental power from the same idea as the puzzle, even though real people never reach the godlike thinking in the thought experiment. Probability experts have suggested a Bayesian reading. The prisoner does not have to give zero chance to the hanging happening on Friday for it to be a surprise. It is enough that the chance is less than sure. As the week goes on, later probabilities move. By Thursday night, the chance of Friday may hit 1, and at that point the event would no longer be a surprise. But the judge's first promise asked only that, at the moment of saying it, the prisoner did not have solid knowledge. Under this easier reading, the clash fades into a slow fading of surprise, not a simple yes or no. So, experts on speech acts add, another layer to this whole thing. The judge's words are not just a report, they are actually an action. By saying you will be hanged and it will be a surprise, the judge isn't just describing the future, but is sort of setting up new rules for talking. Now, any later comment about the day of hanging has to fit those rules. It must not give away too much, too soon. Some writers even see the puzzle as a tension between Grice's talk rules. Tell the truth, but don't say more than needed. Give information, but, don't ruin the very condition that makes the information matter. Story writers have long felt the story-like pull in the puzzle. Borges points to similar ideas when he imagines predictions that undo themselves. Vonnegut writes sci-fi tales in which knowing the exact time of battle freezes generals because acting on that knowledge changes what will happen. These stories show that the puzzle reaches far beyond hardcore philosophy, pushing people to think about free will, fate, and the worry that comes from knowing too much about the future. Work today goes on in two main ways. Logic experts polish systems that clearly split knowing, believing, and being able to prove knowing, hoping to show that the seeming clash disappears once the meaning tools are sharp enough. Psychologists and brain scientists, meanwhile, look at what mental effort, feelings, or cultural habits help or block the backward reasoning. Signs show that strong math skills help, but do not promise the whole chain. Even experts sometimes stop before taking the last step that crosses out Monday because it feels odd to drop every chance. Yet the puzzle still gently reminds us to stay humble about what we know. If we have too much power to predict, we might shape a reality that breaks the terms of our own prediction. If we have too little, we drift helpless under luck. The magic lives in that fine balance, enough knowledge to get ready, not so much that we cancel the one-time feel of the event. Swinging between control and chance, the unexpected hanging keeps whispering that time is not a flat map we can look over, but a river that keeps changing not only what we know, but what we can know. Maybe the biggest surprise is not the hanging or the test itself, but the slow understanding that life runs its own pop quiz every day, and the lesson, despite our clearest guesses, always shows up right when we least expect it.